Hello Pally, I'm Anushka Sharma. Today is Tuesday, February 20th, and InFocus starts right now. A tragic event spurs action of young people. The impacts of stress on teenage life and how to avoid it. And Heidi Michelson talks about one Stanford organization that is trying to help reduce stress on Pally campus. Let's get started with our daily pick. We'd like to thank Varsity Basketball for sending today's daily pick our way. And remember, anyone can send in a daily pick. Simply tweet it to us at Pally InFocus. The pick is captioned League Champs. Congrats, Bikes. Sources of Strength is holding a lunchtime event today and tomorrow. McKenna DiGeronimo is in the field with more information. McKenna?
Thanks, Anushka. Sources of Strength will be hosting a set of events. Express Yourself is happening on February 20th and 22nd during lunch. This event will focus on expressing ourselves through art and sharing stories of empowerment, so be sure to come out. That's all from me. Back to you in the studio.
Now for a quick look at what else is going on around campus in today's campus bulletin. Submissions for the Spring President's Award are due by February 23rd. To complete a submission, students can go to the link on the screen for a Google form to fill out. It's time to grab a mask and put on your alter ego for this upcoming masquerade ball on March 2nd from 7 to 10 p.m. Masks are optional, but for students who don't have a mask, some will be provided at a first-come, first-served basis. The dance is in the small gym and costs $5, but for those with an ASB card, attendance is free. Peter Gold and Sam Grincy in the Social Justice Pathway are hosting a soft drive to benefit the At the Crossroads organization, an organization that connects with homeless youth in San Francisco. There will be a band on the Mac from today to Friday, February 23rd. It will be underneath a piece of art that helps illustrate the homeless problem in San Francisco. Bring by any new socks for donations. Ted Coe, a policy director at a company called STEM, will be speaking to the Climate Vision Club on Friday, February 23rd in room 1706. The final workshop for the YWCA Teen Empowerment Program was canceled for today and will be rescheduled for a later day. The Pally Wellness team is excited to welcome community partners for an empowerment fair on Thursday, February 22nd on the quad at lunch. Students who engage with the partners can enter to win a raffle, which will include items like prom tickets. Moving on now from what's going on campus to what's happening in the world today, topping today's headlines. Vigils were held yesterday all across the state of Florida in memory of the 17 people who were killed in the mass shooting that took place at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School last week in Parkland, Florida. 14 of the victims were students and 3 were teachers. Some of the vigils being held are demanding change with gun laws, but also acknowledging the big issue of mental health. Survivors of the shooting and members of the community are frustrated as they feel the government is not doing enough to protect people from guns. Lots of recent rainfall in Cincinnati, Ohio, has caused some severe flooding that is expected to worsen in the upcoming weeks. The Ohio River managed to reach to a height of 52 feet of floodwater on Sunday. Flood warnings have been issued throughout the counties surrounding the Ohio River and others in the area. Police in Tel Aviv, Israel, are launching an inquiry after it was discovered that swastikas were drawn on the gates outside of the Poland's embassy in Tel Aviv. This coming just after the Prime Minister of Poland made controversial remarks about the Holocaust, saying that there were Polish perpetrators as there were Jewish perpetrators, not only German perpetrators. Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu responded, calling these remarks outrageous. That's the news from today. Now let's get a blast from the past with today's segment of Today in History. We still have a few days left of Black History Month, and today we feature some history fitting this year's theme of Black history and war. The 54th Regiment, Massachusetts Volunteer Infantry, was an infantry regiment that saw extensive service in the Union Army during the American Civil War. This unit was the first African American regiment organized in the northern states during the Civil War. Authorized the Emancipation Proclamation, the regiment consisted of African American enlisted men commanded by white officers that can be recruited this month back in 1963. During its service, the 54th Massachusetts took part in operations against Charleston, North Carolina, and the more famous Second Battle of Fort Wagner. Now it's time to get another piece of the puzzle as we can see if we can figure out who this week's Guess Who staff member is. Today's clue is that he lived in Paris, France for 6 months in 2014. Do you know who it is? Be sure to tweet your guesses to us at InFocus, and we will feature the winning names on Friday when we get to meet our secret staff member. Stress is a part of life, but too much stress can be damaging to the mental and physical well-being of a person. People of all ages have experienced stress at some point, but what makes teens so much more prone to it? Norna Vade has more.
Stress and anxiety are issues that are becoming more prevalent in this generation. Elizabeth Spector from Wellness has more.
We do know that students are feeling stressed out, and there are some predictable patterns of stress around college applications or AP testing or finals. We know that we see a spike in student stress. Stress could be caused by a number of things. It could be family, it could be relationships, it could be sports, it could be academics. And so trying to say, oh, it's just this one thing that's causing stress, I think isn't accurate. It's really important to know yourself and know when you start feeling those signs of stress. So for some people, it's a very physical experience. For some people, it's more of an emotional or mental experience. And so really knowing yourself and then starting to combat that stress once you start to feel it. Resources on campus, the Wellness Center is a great resource. Even if you just need to take 15 minutes out of your day to de-stress, we have coloring books, we have calm music, we have the sandbox, we have aromatherapy, and then we also have mindfulness exercises. It's important to develop your own toolbox of coping strategies. So journaling is a great one, practicing meditation, yoga, exercise, listening to music, taking a shower. Everyone uses different coping strategies, so knowing what works best for you and then really engaging them.
Besides the Wellness Center, Elizabeth also recommends other places on campus to help students who are feeling stressed.
Another great resource for if you're feeling stressed is getting connected with a counselor. So that's something that we could do here at the Wellness Center or through the guidance office. We see students for drop-in sessions, but we also see students for ongoing counseling, up to 12 sessions. So that's another really great resource for combating stress.
While stress is becoming more common in this generation, fortunately, Pally has many resources to help students combat it. For InFocus, I'm Norna Vade.
Sarah Nash is in the studio now with the latest in Pally Sports news. Sarah, I had a pretty relaxing long weekend. How about you?
Yeah, it was pretty nice. Thanks, Anushka. But now on to sports. So we had a really nice weekend, but it seems like Pally athletes did too. There were no games over the long weekend, giving athletes the chance to relax and refuel for their following games. But we do have some games on the schedule for today as our Pally teams get back to work. Today, boys varsity baseball takes on St. Ignatius at St. Ignatius at 3:30, and the boys varsity tennis takes on our rival high school Gun at home at 3:30. Just like this week, sports day is short and sweet. That's all for sports. Back to you.
Now it's time to find out who our birthday boys and girls are for today. InFocus wishes a very happy birthday to Alia Kind, Angela Liu, and Timothy Hung. Challenge Success is a Stanford organization that partners with high schools to help reduce stress around campus. Norna Vade sits down with one of their representatives, Heidi Michelson, to see what the group has planned for the Pally campus.
Thanks. Today I'm joined by Heidi Michelson, who is here on behalf of Challenge Success. She's going to explain a little bit more about what the group is doing on campus, and as well as an upcoming event that they're planning. Thank you so much for joining me, Heidi.
Sure, my pleasure.
Yeah, of course. So can you tell me a little bit about Challenge Success?
Sure, so it's an organization out of Stanford University. People may have heard of Denise Clark Pope or Madeline Levine.
Yeah.
They've written a lot of books and they speak a lot in the area. And the idea is they usually partner with public and private schools who experience a lot of stress and high achieving schools, sort of like Pally. So
Definitely.
yeah, so we've been partnered with them for about 4 years now, and the students probably recognize they've done a few surveys about kind of like their sleep and their homework habits and their attitudes about school and their extracurriculars. So they initially try to get a profile of the school, and then they kind of try to have a committee like us that looks at some of these issues that students are experiencing to both increase student engagement and also decrease academic stress that they're feeling.
So I know you guys are planning an event that's coming up soon. So
Yes.
can you talk a little bit about that?
Of course. So we thought it would be good to do a community book group around the idea of college admissions, and there's a book by Frank Bruni called Where You Go Is Not Who You'll Be.
Right.
So we've invited students, staff, and parents, who did I miss? Teachers, staff, to read the book, and we have a lot of copies in the Wellness Center that people can borrow. And basically it talks about a lot of the research that they've found, that it doesn't really matter where you go to school, that it's what you do when you get to college in terms of how involved you are and the connections you make with professors and how hard you work and how much, involvement you are there.
That's really important.